So how did you find the paper? So how did you feel about the paper? Medium? Moderate, right? So it is, frankly speaking, it is a very easy paper. Okay. So most of the questions are direct in nature, and it is a easy paper, and from next time onwards you will be getting somewhat tough paper. Okay. This is the case. So coming to the first question, they believe in fatalism. They introduced cosmic principles in place of natural personification of Vedas, world soul theory, Upanishads. They believed in niyati and all-encompassing rule of principle of order. Which school of thought is discussed here? It is Ajivikism. So Ajivika's basic thing is niyati, the basic philosophy of niyati of Ajivika's, it means predeterminism. Predeterminism. So according to them, world order is already set. So what should happen after what? అన్నది ఏంటంటే ముందే డిసైడ్ అయిపోయింది. Everything is predetermined. Our actions, they have very little impact on the universal order. So that is the belief of Ajivikas. Right. So everything is predetermined. That is the reason why Ajivikas, they don't believe in human effort. So they have very little faith in the aspect of human effort. Right. So this is the thing. Niyati, entire niyati means predeterminism, no belief in human effort. And world order is already preset. So that is the philosophy of Ajivikas. Right. Charvakas, they are also called as Lokayatavada. Charvaka school or Lokayatavada. They believed in materialism, or you can say they believed in happiness. So something like they were like hippies. So hippie culture lo em untadi? So you just enjoy your life. Whatever happens, don't bother about the worldly happenings. So just enjoy your life. That is the philosophy of Charvakas or Lokayatavada. And Jainism and Buddhism, most popular, we all know that. So Jainism from the times of Rishabhanatha and all that, Vardhamana Mahavira and all that. Buddhism, we know, right, from Gautama Buddha time. So all these sects, we call them as heterodox sects. Emerged during 6th century BC. Heterodox sects. Heterodox sects simply means who don't follow the existing Brahmanical order of the society. Heterodox. So they wanted to go in different directions, simply. So the order of the society at that point of time was Vedic order of the society, but they wanted to go in different directions. So that is why these sects are called as heterodox sects. And it is believed that there are almost like 64 heterodox sects, like Lokayatavada, Charvakism, Ajivikism and others. There were almost 64. And among these 64, only 2 could become proper religions, Jainism and Buddhism. And all the other 62, they vanished over a period of time. They could not sustain. Right. This is about the first question, Ajivikism. Right. Next. Both Advaita and Vishishtadvaita philosophies believed in existence of Atman. Yes. While Advaita believed in Nirguna Brahman, Vishishtadvaita believed in Saguna Brahman. Yes. Coming to these 2 statements, the philosophy of Advaita and Vishishtadvaita. Right. Simple thing is, we have Advaita philosophy is that Brahman and soul, they are one and the same. Jivatma, that is human soul, and Paramatma, the supreme soul, the Brahman, the universe, which runs the universe, the supreme soul. they are one and the same according to Advaita philosophy. So what is Brahman, what is soul? It is the same thing. But Visishtadvaita, it believed that soul, it is part of Supreme Soul. So human soul, Jivatma, it is part of the Supreme Soul, Paramatma, but both have got their own distinct identities. Okay. So this is Vishishtadvaita and this is Advaita. Though Jivatma is part of Paramatma, but still both have their own distinct identities. We can't say that they are one and the same totally. Okay. But for Advaita philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya, they are one and the same. So Brahman or Supreme Soul or Paramatma, you can call it any of these things. And then Jivatma, the human, basic human, or any other creature. Okay, not only human, any other creature, living creature which we see on the earth. So everything is one and the same part of the larger universe. Right. So this is Advaita of Adi Shankaracharya. This is Visishtadvaita of Ramanujacharya. Right. So with this, we know that definitely Advaita philosophy, it is of Nirguna. Right. Nirguna is God is formless, shapeless. You can't personify God in particular form. So that is Nirguna, no shape. Right. So Advaita philosophy. And Visishtadvaita, because Jivatma and Paramatma, they are having distinct identities. Yes, you can imagine God in particular form and shape, because he or she being having a particular identity of itself. So Saguna. Saguna Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. Right. So Nirguna and Saguna. So formless and it has form here. This is the thing. So this is all part of the larger theme of Bhakti movement, which got started from 8th century onwards in India. Right. So this is the thing. So Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, and then we have Vallabhacharya, Dvaita philosophy, and then we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Achintya Bheda philosophy. So several philosophies we have in this Bhakti movement, especially within Hinduism. So Dvaita, Advaita, Visishtadvaita, and then Dvaita, Advaita. So all these are several philosophies. Dvaita philosophy, it is of Vallabhacharya and Madhvacharya. So according to them, both are completely different, Jivatma and Paramatma. Advaita, just now we have seen, Vishishtadvaita we have seen it. Dvaita Advaita philosophy, it is of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right. So Achintya Bheda. So if you see them to be different entities, they are different entities. If you see them as one entity, Jivatma and Paramatma, they are one. If you feel they are different, they are different. So Dvaita Advaita philosophy, it is of Achintya Bheda, Abheda. So these are the 4 primary schools. Okay, fine. Next. Samkhya school believed in dualism or Dvaitavada. According to Sankhya philosophy, lack of knowledge is the root cause of misery of man. Which of the statements is incorrect? So both the statements, they are incorrect. Both the statements are correct. Both the statements are correct. Sankhya philosophy, it believes in Dvaitavada. Dvaitavada, which is just now we have seen Dvaita philosophy. So Samkhya philosophy, it believes in that, and then in it, it has got 3 main concepts: Pratyaksha, perception; Anumana, inference; and then Shabda, hearing. Pratyaksha perception, Anumana inference, and Shabda hearing. Right. So these are the three main components of Samkhya philosophy. And Sankhya philosophy it also deals with the concepts of Prakriti and Purusha. It also deals with the concepts of Prakriti and Purusha. So these things, they are reality and they are essential for the creation of, or you can say for the continuation of human civilization. Prakriti and Purusha, and Sankhya philosophy believes that both are two distinct elements. So that are essential for creation and then furtherance of what we say earth or universe. Prakriti and Purusha. This thing. And Sankhya philosophy, it believed that lack of knowledge is the root cause of all the problems. So they are for scientific inquiry, they are for, as we have seen, perception, inference, all these things are very important according to Sankhya. Knowledge is very important according to Sankhya philosophy. Fine. So lack of knowledge is the root cause of every problem. So their method of achieving a higher consciousness is through knowledge, through attainment of knowledge. This is the next one. So next it is basic question. First Buddhist council was held at Rajagriha under the chairmanship of Mahakassapa. So it was held immediately after the death of Buddha. So it was held at Rajagriha, right? So under the patronage of Ajatasattu. So it was held, and it was in this session what happened? Vinay Pitaka and all the others, they were codified, especially Vinay Pitaka was codified in the first council. Second council was held under the patronage of Kala Shoka. So third council Ashoka, fourth council Kanishka. So these are the four councils, patrons, and then the presiding ones. So they are important, right? This is the next. Fifth one. The first to invade India are the Greeks or Bactrian Greeks. In the beginning of the 2nd century BC, Indo-Greeks occupied large part of northwestern India, much larger than that conquered by Alexander. The most famous ruler was Menander, who was converted to Buddhism by Nagasena. Question at above statements. Which of the above statements are? Which is wrong? Endukante first ones are Persians. So the question itself is wrong. The first ones are Persians, and we have Greek writers detailing about Persian invasions on India. Indian part, or you can say the Indus region, it was the 20th province among the 28 provinces of Persians. Okay, Punjab region of India and parts of Afghanistan, which are considered part of India. So they formed the 20th part of Persian Empire, and it contributed for almost like 1/3 of the total revenue. And Indians also participated in wars on behalf of Persians. So Persians are the first foreign rulers to occupy certain territory of India, use Indian resources and use Indian men. Okay, this is the case. So almost like they used to pay some 13 talents of gold also. So talent was a measure of Persians. So 13 talents of gold was also paid by Indian areas to Persian Empire. 1/3. It contributed almost like 1/3. So it was like the richest of all the Persian provinces. Right. So Darius, the ruler. So Darius was the first Persian ruler to occupy, and then Xerxes used Indians. He used Indians in wars. This is about this thing. So first statement is definitely wrong. So third statement, it is correct. The most famous ruler was Menander, also called as Milinda, right? Milinda Panho and all these things. So third statement is correct. And then second statement is also correct. So the area occupied by Indo-Greeks in the post-Mauryan era, it was much larger than the area occupied by Alexander, because Alexander, he could only occupy little parts of Punjab region, because Ambi surrendered to him and then Porus was defeated by him, but he had to return back from Bias river. So he couldn't cross Bias. Whereas Indo-Greeks, they could settle in large parts. They were present in areas north of Hindu Kush, they were present in areas south of Hindu Kush also. So much of today's Pakistan's Punjab, Sindh area and Afghanistan area, it was all under the control of Indo-Greeks. So this was the case. And their capital was Sialkot. So Sakala or Sialkot in Punjab. This is the case. And then Khuddakapata, Udana, the Thera, Thei are literary sources of definitely Buddhism. So Khuddakapata, it is also called as Khuddaka Nikaya. Khuddaka Nikaya. So it is part of the Sutta Pitaka. It is part of Sutta Pitaka. Udana, it is one of the teachings of Buddha. It is one of the teachings of Buddha. So where we have this famous blind man and elephant story. So Udanalo emuntundante, how do you understand the concept of Kevala? How do you understand the concept of Nirvana annappudu? Buddha gives the story of elephant and the blind man. So when you take blind men, few blind men to an elephant and make them to say what this animal is. Some would say this animal is like wall. Some would say this animal is like tree. Some would say this animal is like pillar, right? So touching the tail, one would say this animal is just like an insect. So everybody has got their own idea of what Kevala or Nirvana is. It is just like blind men imagining what this elephant would look like. So alindante nobody has the clarity annadi Buddha says this. So this entire story we find it in Udana, right? Next, Sutta Nipata, it is a collection of several Buddhist teachings. Sutta Nipata, several Buddhist teachings. And then Thera and Thei, these are songs of saints and monks and nuns. Songs by several monks and nuns in Buddhist viharas. Songs. So all these act as sources about Buddhism. Next, which Ashokan edicts are located outside India? Obviously Kandahar, it is allowed. Kandahar, Manshera, Shahbazgiri, Nigali Sagar. So all these are outside India. Nigali Sagar, it is in Nepal. Shahbazgiri, Manshera, they are in present day Pakistan region, and Kandahar, it is in Afghanistan. So we all know that. So Manshera, Shahbazgiri, they are famous because in those they have used Kharoshthi script. So Greek and Aramaic languages are used and Kharoshthi script is used in these two inscriptions, Manshera and Shahbazgiri. Right. So this is about this thing. Next, Nalanda University, Guptas, Vikramashila, Pala, Vallabhi University, Maitraka. So this is simple question. So we all know that. Nalanda University by Guptas. So Kumara Gupta, Skanda Gupta and others, they have patronized Nalanda University. And then Vikramashila University, located in Bengal region, Pala dynasty, Dharmapala and others, they patronized it. So Vallabhi University, so Gujarat region, so by Maitrakas. Right. Next. So in an Ashokan inscription, Lumbini is called the birthplace of Gautama Buddha. Yes. Lumbini near Kapilavastu served another capital of Shakyas. Yes, both the statements are correct, because one inscription of Ashoka, that is Ruminda inscription, it refers to Lumbini as the birthplace of Gautama Buddha, Rumindai. In this inscription only, Ashoka even reduces the tax of Lumbini. Okay, so Bali was completely abolished and Bhaga tax, it was reduced to 1/8. Right. So 1/3 was the tax, it was reduced to 1/8. So these two concessions are given to that place because that place was referred to as birthplace of Shakyamuni Buddha in that Ashokan inscription. So first statement is definitely correct. So second statement is also correct. Lumbini near Kapilavastu served as another capital for Shakyas. Next. Next. So Maitreya is future Buddha. A new future of Hinayana Buddhism is the concept of future Buddha. No, it is future of Mahayana Buddhism. We all know that. Right. So we have several Buddhas in Mahayana Buddhism. Right. Vajrapani, Avalokiteshvara, Maitreya. So there are such several Buddhas. Right. So each Buddha, he has got some significance. Maitreya is future Buddha who would be coming and saving the people in the future. So right. So this is future. And then Vajrapani, the holder of thunderbolt. And Avalokiteshvara, pronunciation సరిగ్గా రావట్లేదు. Avalokiteshvara. And then there is this Amitabha, Maitreya, Vajrapani, ఇలా చాలా మంది ఉంటారు. So each form of Buddha, they have got one specific function to do. Right. So this is the feature of, essential feature of Mahayana Buddhism. So scholars and historians, they say it is the influence of Hinduism that made Mahayana Buddhism to go for such conceptualization of Buddha. Right. This is the case. Next. King Kharavela of Chedi dynasty issued Hathigumpha inscription in Kavya style. It is correct. Inscriptions begins with salutations to Jain Arhatas and Siddhas and contains many Jain symbols. We all know this. Kharavela Hathigumpha's inscription, Chedi dynasty, he refers himself and his dynasty also as Mahameghavahana. Right. లేదు చేది డైనాసిటీ కూడా కరెక్ట్. కళింగ, చేది, మహామేఘవాహన, all these are same, related to Kharavela. Okay. So all these are same, one and the same, so no need to confuse. So his references we can find in this Hathigumpha inscription in the present day Odisha. So in this, there are various sources with regarding this his Jainism, association with Jainism and all that. In the same inscription, he says that he defeated Magadha and has brought back what we call it as Jinnah statue. So this Jinnah statue, it was taken by Nandas from Kalinga region when Nandas defeated Kalinga at some point of time, Mahapadmananda and others. So later on, this Kharavela, he went in the post-Mauryan era. He went, he defeated the Magadhas, and then he brought back this Jinnah statue. One thing is for sure is ki Kharavela, he belonged to Jain religion. So that is why we find many Jain symbols and others in Hathigumpa inscription. So this is the thing. So it is in Kavya style with salutations and other things too. It is a 17-line inscription with several references to Jains. Okay. Next. Magadha, Gandhara, Avanti, Anga. So arrange the above eastwards. So obviously Anga would lie in the easternmost part, because Anga, it corresponded with what we say Bhagalpur district of Bihar. So extreme eastern Bihar, it is Anga, Bhagalpur and other regions. And then Avanti, it is in the present day Madhya Pradesh region, Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh region. Gandhara, it is in Afghanistan, and Magadha, obviously Bihar, central Bihar. So you can arrange it accordingly. So east to west, it would be 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2. Next, Kalidasa. Swapnavasav Datta, Uttar Ramacharitam and Raghuvamsam. Definitely Raghuvamsam, it is written by Kalidasa, no doubt. And coming to Swapnavasav Datta, it is not by Kalidasa. So I don't remember who wrote Swapnavasav Datta, but Uttar Ramacharitra, it is by Bhavabhuti. So Bhavabhuti wrote Uttar Ramacharitra, and then Bhasa wrote Swapnavasav Datta. Bhasa wrote Swapnavasav Datta. So the later life of Rama, it was described in Uttar Ramacharita. Right. This is the thing. And then Kalidasa, we all know, he wrote several other books also, Abhignana Sakuntalam, Kumara Sambhavam, Malavikagnimitram. So all these books are written by Kalidasa. His books, Megha Sandesam and others. The thing is, his books, they describe the social conditions of those times. And especially Malavikagnimitram, it acts as an important source for Shunga dynasty, source of Shunga dynasty. Right. So this is the thing. Next. Vaisheshika school of Hindu philosophy was founded by Kannada. So this philosophy, it believes in physicality of universe, and this philosophy, it is very much objective. ఏంటండి మీ డౌట్? ఇంకా మీరు కళింగ దగ్గర అయిపోయి ఉన్నారా? ఓకే 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 రైట్. Fine. So this believed in objectivity of the universe. So Kannada, Vaisheshika philosophy, it is a direct question. So this is the thing. Next. Kushanas were a branch of Yuchi tribe whose original home was Central Asia. Yes, it is correct. The founder of Kushana dynasty, obviously not Kanishka, it is Kujula Cadaphysis. Kujula Cadaphysis. So in India, the first ruler, the first recorded ruler of Kushana dynasty is Kujula Cadaphysis. He ruled from Oxus River region till Indus River, almost like Indus River region. This region, present day Western Pakistan and then Afghanistan. So this region was under Kujula Cadphases, right. So we know about him because of his copper coins. So he is the founder, not Kanishka. Kanishka comes third. So Kujula Cadphases, Vima Cadphases, and then comes Kanishka in 78. Kujula Cadphases from 15 CE onwards, and then this person Kanishka from 78 CE onwards, right. So they belong to this Yuchi tribe. So this tribe, it is from Central Asia. Because of this construction of Great Chinese Wall, many Central Asian tribes, they had to reroute themselves to India. So Sakas, Yuchis, all these tribes, they had to come and settle in India because they couldn't move into China. This is the thing. So they belong to this Yuchi tribe, and once they entered into India, they got Indianized and all that. They got this thing Kushana, right. So the last ruler was Vasudeva. Vasudeva was the last ruler of this dynasty, and their capital was Peshawar, Purushapura. Purushapura was their capital, right. So this is about Kushans. So we all know Kanishka, he patronized Buddhism. Fourth Buddhist Council happened. So Nagarjuna, Vasumitra, Ashwaghosha, Charaka, all these were the scholars patronized by Kanishka. So he issued lot of gold coins. India was connected with the Great Silk Route. All these things happened during Kushana time. Right. Next. Kanauj assembly was held in honor of Huyansang. This assembly was attended by Buddhist monks, Jains and Brahmanas. Here Harsha performed the ceremony of Dana, in which he donated his 5 years accumulated wealth. Yes, all these statements are correct. Largely they are correct. So, but the answer is given to be? Donated all his life's wealth or what? Ledu. Acha, it happened in Allahabad, sorry, Prayagraj. Yes, it happened in the Prayag Sabha. He donated all his wealth, all the accumulated wealth of 5 years. It was donated by him. In Kanauj assembly, it didn't happen. So Huyansang, assembly of Buddhist monks, Jains and Brahmanas. So this is about Kanauj assembly. So next, the term satrap in ancient India refers to, obviously, system of government. So satraps, it is a term associated with Shaka administration, especially provincial administrators, they are called as satraps. Provincial administrators, they are called as satrap. This term is said to be evolved from Kshatrapa. The term Kshatrapa, provincial administrator, Kshatrapa. Anduge ippati kuda they use the term regional satrap for any strong chief minister of any regional, of any national party. For any strong chief minister of that particular state, they use this term, the regional satrap, because satraps are largely autonomous, independent rulers in a larger kingdom. So satrap system, it is a form of administration. So they are like governors or rulers of that area. First ever long inscription in chaste Rudradaman, obviously this is the thing, is chala easy. So in the Girnar inscription about the Sudarshana lake thing, the first Sanskrit inscription was issued by Rudradaman, a Shaka ruler, right. So in that inscription he states that this Sudarshana lake was constructed by one Pushyagupta during the Ashokan times. Now I am repairing the same lake. So this entire content he presented it in Sanskrit, pure Sanskrit. So, historically this is the first Sanskrit inscription by Shakas. Next. So, Buddhist scholar who wrote the hagiographic Buddha Charita, the sacred biography of Buddha. He often termed Indian Einstein, who proposed this theory of relativity in his time in the form of sutra, Prajna Paramita Sutra. So, which of the following statements are incorrect? Obviously, second thing is wrong. Right. Right. So, second statement, it is attributed to Nagarjuna. Obviously, Nagarjuna. So, theory of relativity. So, Prajna Paramita Sutra, they are all, and then Madhyamika. So, and also he propounded Sunyavada school. So, all these things they are attributed to Nagarjunacharya. Shunyavada school, also called as Madhyamika school, theory of relativity, Prajna Paramita Sutra, and also he is credited of making alloys, several alloys. Right. Alloys. So, all these are credited to Nagarjunacharya. So, this is. So, first statement, it is definitely Ashwagosha because he wrote Buddha Charita. So, he is the one who is associated with Kanishka. Right. So, it is written in Sanskrit. He also acted as the vice chairman of 4th Buddhist Council. Vasumitra was the chairman of the 4th Buddhist Council and Ashwagosha was the vice chairman. Next. 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 Mudra Rakshasa, Devi Chandraguptam, Mruchakatika, Vikramorvasiyam. Which of the above are written by? Which of these are written by Vishakadatta? Only first and second. So, Mudra Rakshasa and Devi Chandragupta. Mruchakatikam, it is by Shudraka. It is one of the early Sanskrit dramas. Mruchakatikam. And then Vikramorvasiyam, it is by Kalidasa. So, Mudra Rakshasa, it gives the detailing of the formation of Mauryan dynasty, or you can say how Nandas were defeated and how Mauryans came to power. All this detailing it is provided in Mudra Rakshasa, one of the important literary sources on Mauryans. And then coming to Devi Chandraguptam, it is the story of how Chandragupta Maurya defeated Shakas. Right. So, Shakas were so powerful that they demanded Ramagupta, the brother of Chandragupta, to send his wife to them. Right. So, Chandragupta Vikramaditya, he was very much disturbed by this demand. He went in the form of Devi, he defeated Shakas and then he brought back Devi. Right. So, all these things they were detailed in, they were discussed in Devi Chandragupta. So, Mudra Rakshasa, it is a source on Mauryans and Devi Chandraguptam, it is a source on Guptas. Both these works are by Vishakadatta. Mruchakatikam by Shudraka, one of the early Sanskrit dramas. And then Vikramorvasiyam by Kalidasa. This is the thing. Next question. The term Vishti means forced labor which prevailed in Gupta society. Junagadh inscription mentions Vishti as one of the forms of tax. Which of the following statements are incorrect? So, neither of them are incorrect because Vishti as a form of forced labor not only in Gupta times but even in earlier times also it was the same term which was used. Even in Mauryan times also it is the same term. Veshti, vetti chakiri, forced labor. Same thing. Next, Junagadh inscription. It refers to Vishti as one form of tax. Yes, it is used as one form of tax, or you can say it was like labor levy. So, labor levy ante instead of paying tax, you can do your service to the state when you are requested to do, when you are demanded to do, not requested. So, you can pay your taxes or you can pay your part to the government by working on government projects. So, by contributing your labor. So, that it was given in Junagadh inscription, right. So, it was a form of labor levy, forced labor levy. Next one. Ajivika school revolves around the Niyati doctrine of absolute determinism. Ajnanas do not believe in karma theory as it believes that ignorance is best. Both Ajivikas and Ajnanas rejected the authority of Vedas like Buddhism and Jainism. Yes. Ajnanas believed in existence of soul in every human being in material form. No. Right. So, this school, Ajnana school, just like another heterodox sect. Indaka anukunnam kada Charvakas, villandarlo Kayatas, Ajivikas. They are one other heterodox sect. You can easily eliminate fourth one because most of these philosophies, they don't believe in the existence of soul. Ajivikas, Ajnanas, Charvakas, such schools, even Buddhism doesn't believe in the existence of soul. Only Jainism believes in the existence of soul. Okay. Simple thing, the exception is Jainism. All the others, they don't believe in the existence of soul. Basic thing is, they don't believe in metaphysical aspects. Only physical aspect they believe in. So, soul is a metaphysical thing because we don't know whether it exists or doesn't exist. Right. So, fourth option you can easily eliminate. Third option, it is obvious because all these heterodox sects, they rejected the authority of Vedas. That is for sure. And then Ajnanas do not believe in karma theory, it believes that ignorance is best, obviously. So, they don't believe in the aspect of effort, karma. So, you need not do anything to achieve something. So, it happens if it has to happen, that is it. So, they believe that ignorance is the best thing. Acquiring knowledge would unnecessarily burden you. Emantaru, ignorant fellow is the most happiest fellow antaru kada. So, Ajnana philosophy, it believes in this thing. Right. So, next Ajivika school, we have already seen this determinism, niyati. So, everything it is predetermined, don't do anything, right. Don't try to change anything. This is the case. Next. Harshavardhana is also known as Siladitya. Pulakeshitu of Badam defeated Harshana on the banks of river Kaveri, obviously not Kaveri, Narmada it is. Right. So, this second statement we know because of eye-hole inscription. So, in this eye-hole inscription, Pulakeshitu, he says that he defeated Harshavardhana on the banks of river Narmada and took the title Parameshwara. So, second statement is wrong, it is Narmada river. This is the Harshavardhana, he is also known as Siladitya. So, this name we get because of Banabhatta's Harshacharita. So, in that source he is referred to as Shiladitya of Pushyabhuti dynasty, who came to power, and all such detailing it is provided. Second statement from eye-hole inscription. Next. Which among the following are symbols of Buddhism? Bull, lotus, wheel, all these are symbols of Buddhism. See, bull, it represents fertility. Lotus, it represents universe and its multiple layers. So, lotus. So, universe, it is a complex thing with multiple layers. So, it is represented by lotus. And wheel, it represents time, the eternality of time. You do not know where the wheel starts. వీల్ సర్కిల్ ఎక్కడ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుందో ఎవరో చెప్పలేం. అలాగే సేమ్ థింగ్ విత్ టైం. సో టు రిప్రజెంట్ ది ఎటర్నాలిటీ ఆఫ్ టైం, wheel is used by Buddhists. Right, this is the thing. Horse, it is the symbol of nirvana. So renunciation, sacrifice. Elephant, it is the symbol of Buddha himself, or you can say wisdom. So elephant, Buddha or wisdom, it symbolizes that particular thing, because it is believed that Buddha entered into Mahamaya's womb in the form of a white elephant. So in her dream she got that thing, right? So elephant is the symbol of wisdom and Buddha, bull fertility, lotus universe, and then wheel time, horse for renunciation. So wheel, it also represents the first sermon, Sarnath sermon. So time as well as the first sermon given at Sarnath near Varanasi. And tree, it is the symbol of Mahaparinirvana, that is, sorry, not Mahaparinirvana, Nirvana, the attainment of knowledge. So all these are symbols of Buddhism. Next. Which of the following are correct about Fahian's account on Gupta? So he characterizes Gupta administration as mild and benevolent. Okay. There were no restrictions on people's movements and they enjoyed large degree of personal freedom. Yes. There was no state interference in individuals' lives. So all these are detailing provided by Fahian. So the thing is, Fahian is one of the important source of Indian history, because he wrote about untouchability also, right? So he gave the detailing of untouchability. So he presented the positive aspects of Gupta society, but also he highlighted this problem, right? So that people stay, some group of people, they stay outside the city. When they enter into the city, they have to tie a broomstick to their back so that their footsteps are cleared. All this detailing of untouchability, it is provided by Fahian. Right. And Guptan administration, it was mild and benevolent because they were free, because Guptas, they were not for excessive bureaucracy like Mauryans. So this is one feature of Guptan administration, is that Guptan administration, it was not dependent on bureaucracy, whereas Mauryan administration, it was highly bureaucratized. So this was the reason why in Mauryan administration we had lot of restrictions, right? So in Guptas, it was not the case. And the same thing, Mauryans, they had monopoly on several aspects. They had monopoly on weapon making, they had monopoly on liquor making, they had monopoly on such important things, right? Especially mining, weapon making, excise, on such things. But in Guptan times, there was no monopoly on any sector by the government. So because of this thing also, people enjoyed large degree of freedom. Fine. So less bureaucracy, no monopoly in any sector. These were the reasons why people were largely free. Fine. Next. Sankhya philosophy hold that reality is constituted on two principles, Prakriti and Purusha. Just now we have seen, and they are completely independent and absolute. Right. So they are not completely independent and absolute. They are interdependent. They are interdependent, and both they work together to create universe. So Purusha is consciousness, Prakriti is all the elements in the universe. Elements are Prakriti, consciousness is Purusha. They both create the universe. right? So statement 1 is correct. Statement 2 is not correct because they are not completely independent and absolute. There is some kind of relation, only with that relation they can create the universe. Next. The term Uparikas in Gupta times means, so provincial governors, we all know that. So Guptan kingdom, it was divided into Bhuktis. Bhuktis were divided into Vishayas, right? So Bhukti, it was led by Uparika. Vishaya, it was led by Uparika, are also known as Vishaya, and then Bhuktis and then Vishaya. So Vishaya, it was led by Vishayapati. So this was the basic administration. So villages, gramikas. So eightfold path of Buddhism: right mindfulness, right speech, right behavior, right understanding. No, is not part. Obviously, right behavior, because right mindfulness is there, right speech is there, right understanding is there. Right behavior is not part of the Ashtanga Marga. Ashtanga Marga, it is one of the four noble truths, Arya Satyani, right? Dukkha, Tanha, Nibbana, and then Ashtanga Marga. These are the four Arya Satyas. Dukkha, it is suffering. Tanha, it is the desire, the source of suffering. And then to avoid them, we need to have Nibbana, renunciation. And to achieve renunciation, we need to practice Ashtanga Marga, right? So the Ashtanga Marga are right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness. So these are the 8 things, Ashtanga Marga, to be followed. Okay. So part of the Arya Satyani. Next one. Who among the following were contemporary to Gautama Buddha? So Purana Kassapa, Pakuda Kachayana, Sanjaya Belatputta, and Niganta Netaputta. So all these people are contemporaries of Buddha, because most of them, they met Buddha, and Buddha tried to understand certain concepts from them, right? So he tried to understand certain concepts from them. So when he did this parinirvana, renunciation thing, entered into India, Bihar region, when he was wandering as an ascetic, he came across several groups, Charvakas, Ajivikas, and many other such groups. In this process, he tried to learn certain things from them, but he couldn't find ultimate truth from these people. So he felt it is better to find my own path. Then he moved away. He did this, what you can say, meditation for a very long period. He achieved this nirvana thing. All these things he achieved, right? So all these people, they were met by Buddha before achieving nirvana, right? This is next. Which of the following are correct about Buddhism and Jainism? Both believed in faith and karma. Yes. Both were against Vedas and Vedic culture. Yes. Both preached Satya, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya, and detachment from material comforts. So this is a basic generic question. So we all know that Buddhism and Jainism, they preach similar things, but the intensity matters, because in Jainism, the intensity of Brahmacharya, the intensity of Ahimsa, they are much more harsher when compared to Buddhism. But generally speaking, they were all for the same thing, right? So when it comes to practicing them, the intensity changes, because Buddhism, it believes in Madhya Marga, so no extremism and all that. So Buddhism doesn't believe in soul, whereas Jainism, it believes in soul concept. So there are differences. So they both reject the Vedic rituals and authority of Vedas, and both believed in faith and karma. So they believed in right karma, right action. Okay. So right action leads to achievement of Kevala Gnana according to Jainism, Nirvana according to Buddhism. Right. So this is the thing. Next. Harappan civilization was based on pre-existing Neolithic and Chalcolithic cultures. Chalcolithic cultures are also the first to use tools made of copper. So, which of the following statements are incorrect? Obviously, first statement is wrong, because Harappan civilization, it was not based on earlier existing thing. So, earlier existing Chalcolithic and Neolithic, yeah, to some extent the first statement is correct, and obviously second statement is also correct. Chalcolithic cultures are the first to use tools made of copper, right. So, the proof for Neolithic culture is that Mehergarh. So, Mehergarh, it is a Neolithic site which has grown cotton, which has the evidences of growth of cotton. So, this site, it continued to be Indus Valley civilizational site, right. So, this is the thing. And in the same way, coming to Chalcolithic, so several sites in Indus Valley civilization, especially of Rajasthan, Haryana region, they are of Chalcolithic culture, okay. So, definitely IVC, it was based on pre-existing Neolithic sites and Chalcolithic sites, and Chalcolithic people are the first to use copper. Endukante we all know Neo, Paleo, Meso, Neo, and then comes Chalcolithic. Chalcolithic means both copper plus stone. In Neolithic times, it was stones and bones. They were used for making of tools. Even in Mesolithic, we find some bones, but in Neolithic, extensive use of bones for fishing, needles, and all these things we find. But in Chalcolithic, it is the beginning of metal age, right. So, Kayatha culture and all the other cultures, they are Chalcolithic cultures in India. So, best example, Kayatha. Fine. So, this is the thing. So, next. Harappan town planning is marked by considerable uniformity, though one can notice some regional variations. Yes, it is correct. There is considerable uniformity in the making of the cities. The houses of the common people were also uniform in size and shape. So, size and shape uniformity, it can't be achieved anywhere. So, common people houses, size and shape to be uniform in Indus Valley civilization, it is wrong, because we find multi-storied buildings also. So, some people even outside the citadel, they had multi-storied buildings, some had single room houses kind of thing, right. So, some had attached bathrooms. So, it was not uniform, it was definitely not uniform for common people, this is wrong. So, but IVC as such, all the settlements having similar pattern of urban civilization, yes, it is correct, because usage of burnt bricks. So, grid pattern. So, such features we can find, and then granaries, presence of granaries, presence of citadel. So, all these basic features, they are all common across the IVC sites, that is for sure, but here this is not the case with second statement, because we have presence of multi-storied buildings and other things. Right. Next, the term Kammakaras in ancient history means. So, obviously, they are not tribes, they are not monks, they are landless agricultural labor. So, Kammakaras, this term, it was associated with Mahajanapada era, 6th century Mahajanapada period. So, Kammakaras, they are landless agricultural labor. So, who are associated with regular labor activity. Right. Next, which of the following statement is correct about Rajgir? Rajgir was surrounded by 5 hills, yes. It was situated on the confluence of Gandak, Ganga, Ghagra, Kosi, no, it is not the case. It was considered as a water fort, no, it is not the case. Rajgir is not rich in iron resources, no, it was rich in iron resources. So, only statement A is correct. So Rajagriha, alternatively it is also called as Girivraja. So Girivraja and Rajagriha, they are used interchangeably. It was not a water fort, it was not a Jaladurga, it was a Giridurga, hill fort. We have types of forts, right? Giridurga, Jaladurga, Vanadurga and Sthaladurga. So Girivraja, Rajagriha, it was a Giridurga. So surrounded by 5 hills. Natural protection was given to it. So later on the capital was shifted to Pataliputra during the times of Udayan. Right. So initially it was Rajagriha. So Pataliputra, it is at the confluence of several rivers. Ganga, Son, Gandak, all these rivers, and it was a Jaladurga, water fort. Fine. So this is the case. And Rajagriha, it was rich in iron resources, and one reason of the rise of Magadha is availability of iron ore. So Avanti and then Magadha, they had resources, iron resources. All the others, they didn't have this. Next. Vardhaman Mahavira has been accepted as the founder of Jainism. The word see, I don't find this question to be appropriate, because Rishabhanatha is considered as the founder of Jainism. So, so considering Vardhamana Mahavira, they could have framed it like Vardhamana Mahavira has been accepted as the actual founder of Jainism, then it is fine. But as the founder of Jainism, it should be Rishabhanatha. Okay. Rishabhanatha, the founder, his references we can find even in Rigveda. So the name of Rishabhanatha, his references we find even in Rigveda, and he is believed as the first Tirthankara. So 24 Tirthankaras lo first ana ayana nammutaru. Right. So Rishabhanatha, Arishtanemi. So there are such people associated with formation of Jainism. But Vardhamana Mahavira is the actual founder, because from his time onwards it became a proper religion. It got several rules and strict what you can say adherence to these rules. And he also added the point of Brahmacharya. Right. So earlier this principle of Brahmacharya, celibacy, it was not there. Vardhamana Mahavira has added it. Right. So this is about Jainism and its formation. Rishabhanatha, Neminatha, Parshvanatha, Vardhamana Mahavira, all these are important ones. And it is believed that the 19th Tirthankara is a woman. 19th Tirthankara is generally regarded as woman. Okay. So some say it is woman, some say no, it is not woman. It was not woman, it was a man and Jepu Kondarantar. So this is the case. So Jainism, its presence was much before Vardhamana Mahavira. Next. Kanvas who began their political career as subordinates of Mauryas, no, they began their career as subordinates of Shungas. అందుకే మనం చూస్తే ఏంటంటే ఇన్ సమ్ సోర్సెస్ ఇన్ పురాణాస్, విష్ణు పురాణ అండ్ అదర్స్, దీస్ కన్వాస్ దే ఆర్ రెఫర్డ్ టు యాజ్ శుంగ భృత్యాస్, సర్వెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ శుంగాస్. శుంగ భృత్యాస్. Subordinates or servants of Shungas. So the last ruler according to Puranas, being Devabhuti or Devabhumi, was killed by slave girl. Yes. So it is believed that there was a minister who conspired for this end of this Kanva. So Susarma Kanva was the last ruler. According to some say it is Devabhuti. So this person, he was killed by a slave girl who came in the disguise of queen. So queen ga disguise cheskoni pelli chesukodaniki vachinattu vachi she killed అని చెప్తారు. And after Kanvas, Mitras, the Mitra dynasty got started in Magadha, but they are a very insignificant dynasty, right? So Mauryans, Shungas, and then Kanva, and then Mitra. This is the order of ruling of Magadha, but Mitras, they are very insignificant. Kanvas are insignificant, vallakanna inka insignificant Mitra dynasty. This is the chronological order. rise of Jainism. Upanishads being highly philosophical in nature, rigidity of caste system, rise of trade, sacrifice of animals leading to depletion of cattle wealth. Yes, these are all the causes for the rise of Jainism, not only Jainism but also Buddhism. Rise of all the heterodox sects, it is attributed to these causes. So, because Upanishads, they are very difficult to understand. One thing is that Vedas, they supported, or you can say they had this content of mysticism, rituals, sacrifices and all that. But Upanishads and Aranyakas, they had content which is not so ritualistic in nature. Upanishads and Aranyakas, especially Upanishads, they had true knowledge in them, with no references to ritual, sacrifices and all these things. But Upanishads are too difficult to understand. Kotte Upanishads, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, so Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, all these Upanishads, they are very difficult for common people to understand. So this is what made Upanishads very unpopular, right? So Upanishads మీద ఫస్ట్ టైం ఒక సమరీ లాంటిది రాసింది ఎవరంటే ఆది శంకరాచార్య. సో హీ ట్రైడ్ ఇట్ త్రూ బ్రహ్మసూత్రాస్, అండ్ దోస్ బ్రహ్మసూత్రాస్ ఆర్ ఆల్సో వెరీ డిఫికల్ట్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్. బ్రహ్మసూత్రాస్ని ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తూ మళ్ళీ సెవెరల్ ఇంటర్ప్రిటేషన్స్ వచ్చినాయి. సో ఉపనిషత్స్ యాజ్ సచ్ దే ఆర్ వెరీ డిఫికల్ట్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్, దో దే ఆర్ నాట్ రిచువలిస్టిక్ అండ్ ఆల్ దీస్ థింగ్స్. ఫైన్. సో అందుకే ఏమంటారంటే Buddhism and Jainism, they have taken most of their ideas from Upanishads and Buddha. There is an argument, not argument, it is true. Their source of knowledge is Upanishads. So this is the case. So first reason, it is definitely true. It was very difficult, and the first one to write a thesis on them is Brahma Sutras by Adi Shankaracharya. Obviously, rigidity of caste system was one important reason. We all know from later Vedic times onwards, caste became a hereditary thing. So earlier it was by interest and all that, but now it became something by heredity, right? So this is the case, and by the Mahajanapada times, it has become much rigid. And another important thing with regarding caste is that from the times of what you can say, from the Mahajanapada times onwards, people felt like, especially Kshatriyas, they wanted to change this social order. So this is the social order, right? They wanted to change this to this Kshatriya, Brahmana, Vaishya and Shudra. So this is the reason why in some Jain texts, most of the Jain texts and some of the Buddhist texts also, you find this order: Kshatriya, Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra. So it is basically the revolt of Kshatriyas on Brahmins, against their unnecessary dominance on each and every aspect of life as well as administration, and also this entire concept of rigidity, because Shudras and women, they were not given the access to knowledge, and they were denied the chance of moksha. So moksha is denied to them, and they don't have the right of Upanayana also, the right to become Dvija, Upanayana, sacred thread ceremony, right? So that right was reserved to only 3 Varnas, right? So only these 3 Varnas had this right. So women in early Vedic times, they had this right. Even in some part of later Vedic also, they had Upanayana right. They had the right to wear sacred thread, right, Dvija status, but it was also removed. So this was also removed. Because of all these things, Jainism and Buddhism, they became popular, right? So this is the case. So rise of trade, definitely rise of trade, it contributed to Buddhism and Jainism, because Vaishya community, so they were against Brahmanical restrictions on trade, because Brahmins, they were against long distance trade, they were against sea-borne trade. In some regions, Brahmins even they have even put a ban on sea travel. So you should not travel on the seas. You should not get into the regions where there are no black bucks. So mana flora and fauna kanipinchani regions ki vellagudadu anna restriction undedannamata. That made long distance trade and especially sea-borne trade very difficult. So Vaishyas, they turned to Buddhism and Jainism, which did not put any kind of restrictions, right? And especially Jainism was promoted trade because according to Jains, even agriculture contributes to violence. Okay, even agriculture contributes to violence. Agriculture leads to harassment of animals, death of some microorganisms and all such things. So they felt agriculture is also not completely a peaceful activity. So they promoted trade. This is the thing. So Jains Kendante, they have this concept of creatures with one sense, creatures with two senses, creatures with 3, 4 and 5. So human is the creature with 5 senses, right? According to Jains, you should not harass any creature with more than 2 or more than 2 senses. So creatures with 2 or more than 2 senses should not be harassed according to Jains. If the creatures of one sense they are harassed, not an issue, but 2 senses ఉన్న దగ్గర నుంచి ఆ పైన ఏదైనా సరే you should not harass. It is Jain philosophy, where it can be practiced only in trade, not in agriculture. Okay, this is the case. Next. That is the reason why they have this hierarchy. So how creatures should be treated ante 2 senses దగ్గర నుంచి ఎవరిని కూడా harass చేయకూడదు. 1 sense ఉన్నది మనకు కనిపించవు, microorganisms and other such things, we can't even see them. So what is happening to them, we don't know. But from 2 senses onwards, which we can observe, like for example, if you look at earthworms, they have 2 senses. So such things, you can't hurt them. This is next. So sacrifice of animals leading to depletion of cattle wealth, definitely this is one important factor, because all these sacrifices, Rajasuya, Ashwamedha, Vajipaya, Putrakamesti and several other sacrifices, because Vedas by the later Vedic Mahajanapada time, they have started imposing 64 rituals on people from birth to death. Okay, ముందు 4 ఉండేవి, తర్వాత 69, తర్వాత they have become almost like 64 rituals. Each and everything has become a huge gala type event. So with a lot of animal sacrifices and other things, which proved to be very costly, right? So all these things led to rise of Jainism and other heterodox sects. Next, Jainism got divided into Shvetambaras and Digambaras in first Jain council itself. So Digambaras, it is Bhadrabahu, Shvetambaras, it is Thulabahu. The thing is, so some Jains under the leadership of Bhadrabahu and others, Chandragupta Maurya, they moved from Pataliputra to Shravanabelagola when there was this 12-year drought in North India. So some group of people, they felt it is better to go to south. They moved along with Chandragupta Maurya led by Bhadrabahu. So they came after 12 years. When they returned, they saw several changes, especially this group, Sthulabahu and his associates, they started wearing white cloths and calling themselves as Shvetambaras. And these people, they changed Purvas and they composed Angas. So Purvas are the original literature of Jainism, original religious literature of Jainism, but they have changed them and they have created Angas. So all the Purvas, they were consolidated into 11 Angas. So this is another important change. So from then on, Digambaras and Shvetambaras, they got split into 2 different religions, 2 different distinct groups with several differences. For example, Digambaras, they don't consider women as equal to men, right? Whereas Shvetambaras, they consider women and men as equal. Both can achieve moksha, right? Whereas Digambaras ఏమంటారంటే women have to take rebirth as men and only then they are eligible to moksha అని చెప్పి అంటారు. And even with regarding how Vardhamana Mahavira was born and all the other such things. For example, Shvetambaras, they say 19th Tirthankara is a woman, but they say no, 19th Tirthankara was also a man. So such differences they exist between Digambara Jains and Shvetambara Jains. Next one. Jaina philosophy was first proponed by Tirthankara Rishabhadeva. Yes. Jains do not believe in Vedas. Yes. Jains do not admit the existence of soul like Buddhism. So it is not the case. So Jains, they do believe in the concept of soul. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళ ప్రకారం హ్యూమన్ బాడీ ఇట్ ఈస్ ది ప్రిజన్ ఆఫ్ సోల్, రైట్? ఇట్ ఈస్ ది ప్రిజన్ ఆఫ్ సోల్ and it is your responsibility to free up your soul, and that is the reason why they follow Sallekana Vrata, starvation death. So that is practiced by them wantedly, as they believe that soul has to be liberated. This is the thing. So you can't say, whereas Buddhism, it doesn't believe in the concept of soul. Buddha categorically denies this concept of soul, right? So soul, rebirth, వీటి మీద బుద్ధాకి అంత నమ్మకం ఉండదు. బట్ బై ది టైమ్ ఆఫ్ మహాయాన బుద్ధిజం, దీస్ కోర్ టెనెంట్స్ దే గాట్ కంప్లీట్లీ చేంజ్డ్. Right. So coming to Rishabhadeva or Rishabhanatha, the founder of Jainism, along with him names like Ajitanatha, Arishtanemi, they are also mentioned as people who are associated with the beginning of Jain philosophy, right? And then coming to Jains, do not believe in Vedas. Obviously, they don't believe in the authority of Vedas. They don't believe in the concepts, ideas that are provided in Vedas. This is for sure.